Ms. Garima Dutt is a media and content consultant, teacher, writer, editor, and creative arts practitioner based out of Delhi. She's also the founder of Yellow Studio, a boutique firm that works as a content and digital marketing consultant. The next panelist, Ms. Rafpreet Ganesh, comes with the testimony of more than 2 decades of working with brands across a number of categories. Currently, she is the Chief Integration Officer at Publicis Group, helping clients in their marketing transformation. Our third panelist is the president at the National Marketing Council, Wiki. With over 24 years of work experience in large MNCs, Ms. Vitika Banerjee possesses wide experience in innovation management and business leadership for startup operations in customer and service setups. She now runs a strategic marketing
Is anyone able to hear Sumedha? Because I think I lost her.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all lost.
No, I thought maybe there is a problem at my end. Sorry,
No,
I'm just
no, no.
confirming
When I was
everything.
checking the same.
I was also checking the same. Yeah.
Her screen froze, so I think there must be a problem at her
yeah,
end.
there must be problem at her end. So never mind. So I'll take over from there.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. So Vitika runs her own organization called Fourth Dimension at this point in time, and she has been a strategic marketing leader, inspiring a lot of us in the Wiki panels as well. So we welcome all three of you to this panel discussion, and we hope to have some brilliant insights to make it work for us and others as well. I'll just quickly introduce the moderators. So I am the president of the Delhi Marketing Council of Wiki, and I would be the moderator for today. I have over 16 years of experience across marketing and across various industries. And the other moderator who will be supporting me is Megha Saxena. She has also around the similar kind of experience, but she has been a proficient leader in digital marketing specifically, SaaS, and all sorts of digital algorithms. That's what she is. We call her Master of Digital Science. So she'll be also part of our moderating system. Now I'll just start with the session. Before I even go on, thank you everybody for joining in today. It's a good Sunday, and I'm sure that we will make very good use of it. A very warm welcome to all of you on behalf of the Delhi Marketing Council. We all know COVID-19 has shaken, taken, and changed our lives forever. As the world is trying to get back on its feet, our capacity to do so has also been shaken, and we are struggling to assess and adjust. So my first question to the panelists is, what are the top post-pandemic challenges that you anticipate for women in marketing and business? So we could start in alphabetical order. So we could start with Garima, and then we move to Rafpreet and Deepika, if that's okay.
Yanti, I want you to be a little louder. I can hardly hear you. I don't know about others. I could hardly. Yeah.
Okay.
Your voice is not coming through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should I repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Yeah?
Please.
Okay. So I said that, we all understand that COVID-19 has shaken, has taken and changed our lives forever. As the world is trying to, get back on its feet from this impact, our capacities of how do we handle this has also changed. And we are struggling to assess and adjust. So my first question to all of you is that what are the top post-pandemic challenges that you anticipate for women in marketing and business?
See, I think anybody who is probably come as a panelist or is associated with the event today. Firstly, good morning to all of you, and straight into the question without wasting anyone's time. Just the thought that I'm sure we have read those numerous reports and articles on women's participation in labor force shrinking. Well, this has been happening for the last decade, not just during the pandemic. The pandemic has amplified it. Number one, there are women have been haunted by that existential question, whether to work from home or manage home, because invariably a lot of women have to put in more number of hours at work, doing work, housework, as compared to with men. So I think one of the first challenges for women would be to I really feel would be to sort of get back to a scenario where they may have to work full time, because initially women did find it difficult to manage home and their work from home if they were employed. If I were to give you a data, while the male workforce has declined by 5.59% between 2010 to 2020, the female workforce has declined by a sharp 20%, I think a little over 20%. And this decline has aggravated during the pandemic. So for women, you talk to most of the people who probably male dominated industries, and which isn't, they would actually tell you things like, if I may put it as crudely in Hindi, ma'am, यहाँ आदमियों के लिए job नहीं है, आप औरतों के लिए job की बात करती हैं. The men are being fired from job, you're talking about women. So I think one of the first things would be, if you're a woman and you want to be out of home and you want to be working full time, I think that is an area where women will have to do those readjustments, because women have already calibrated and started to feel a certain sense of comfort working from home. They've begun to manage, because we are multitaskers, we are quick on our feet, and we are able to sort of go ahead and understand the demands of the situation and adapt quickly. I think one of the challenges would be women getting back into the workforce. Also, what kind of jobs will be created for women? There is already a plethora of talent pool coming in, younger talent pool coming in the content sector, in the advertising sector, in the media sector, jobs that are dominated by women. So having probably worked in advertising and also I've spent a good deal of time in print and digital and other media, I think it is the women who have suffered here the most. That they go ahead and feel it is difficult to juggle an advertising job or a journalism job or a job of a reporter. I think those are areas which would again open up for women, younger women maybe, because people do not want to pay out that much. But these are also areas where women will have to probably understand that I feel, not working from home may not suffice all the time. On the flip side, I feel there will be certain opportunities that would open up for women. For example, in the advertising world, a lot of women, after a period of after putting in as many number of years as men, if you have an advertising executive, a woman and a man, they both start at the same level. And by the time she becomes a mother and you go to the top rung, I think both Ravpreet and Vitika would agree with me, because we tend to share a similar background. Wo pyramid pe you only find men, because women tend to drop out late nights, stuff like that. I think that is one area which can open up for women, because most of the advertisers have realized, yeah, a woman can work from home and she can deliver your ad campaigns just as fine. She doesn't have to be all the time in office, and or she doesn't have to put in her papers, something which has been a problem area in advertising particularly. An industry I talk about. Education is another sector. The online education industry is booming, but then there are actually companies which are coming in, women who have been working as guest lecturers in Delhi University and other places. They've been, they were male and female both, they've been removed, and all the workload is on permanent faculty. You have companies like Udemy, Coursera coming in. They are approaching these universities saying, why do you need to hire a guest faculty to teach digital marketing or advertising or integration or whatever? Well, we have courses, and the course costs only $599. We are ready to give you a university discount or a student discount or a bulk discount. So these are some of the things women have to, as per me, have to navigate. They have to look at the fact that maybe, the 2 years that have gone by, or that would go by, considering there is a third wave, impending third wave, it is going to be a sort of a difficult thing to recalibrate themselves. But I guess it should not take much time. But IT is another field, I feel, which is going to see a resurgence. And again, there is a lot of bias in the field of engineering in IT. They tend to not hire women. I have gone through certain procedures like that, where people say, you get in both the CVs, but say that the women were not up to the mark, because we don't want to go ahead and kind of give them all those labor and employment benefits and maternity benefits, etc.
It was an interesting point that you made around.
These are some challenge areas for women.
Yeah, it was an interesting point that you made around education. We will come back to it. There is something that we really want to understand about it. Rafpreet, please.
So I'm going to take forward from where Garima left off. And I've been in the advertising communication field now. This is my 24th year. I personally do not feel that last 20 months have changed anything. If women really want to make a career, I think there's a difference in the orientation that we need to bring as women leaders. Yes, Garima is right. As the pyramid becomes, to reach the top, you have very few women leaders. But I do believe that I think if we started thinking of ourselves as professionals first and gender later, we will do ourselves a very, very big favor. Having climbed to the, if I dare say, to the top of the pyramid from a management trainee in this field, I can promise you that my male colleagues work as hard as I do. I appreciate I'm a mother and a sister and a daughter-in-law and everything else, right? But then don't expect, any kind of favors. I don't think we should. The biases should not creep in from the side of the employers, for sure. And everything that Garima has mentioned is absolutely correct. If they do creep in, please walk away. That's not the place. You need to be in a place which celebrates merit, which is not about, but like I said, corollary is also true. I have a 5-year-old child. Hypothetically speaking, why should I be leaving the office at a certain hour? No. So all industries have different codes, and I think we just need to respect those, right? If it doesn't agree with you, and these are personal decisions, don't venture into those fields, because the sectors, fortunately or unfortunately, which are going to see surge or resurgence I completely agree with what Garima said. So it will be media and communication, because look at the consumer behavior. That's what we are all consuming, right? It will be IT. It will be education. Healthcare is another one that's going to come in various shapes and forms. But I think fundamentally, as women, and just before we started, I and Vitika was talking that I think we don't do ourselves enough favors, right? We are the ones who are responsible for this entire bias to creep. I'm going to get married, and therefore now the employer should start looking at me differently. Why again? I am a professional. I demand. And that's the word that I'm using. I demand the same perks and the same kind of celebration as my male colleagues. But then, if he or he is going to sit in and be available, then please be as well. In today's day and age, and I think if there was a last bastion, if I may dare so, which was left standing, where one could say, oh, it's a 9-to-5 job, which does not encroach upon my so-called other time, was education. And guess what? In the last 20 months, that also has gone away. Okay. So today, exactly. Educators are equally pressurized, equally stressed as any other job, because you know what, we are all, this is our environment. I'm sitting in my dining room and talking to you all, right? So this is life. And will it change and evolve as we go along? Yes. But I feel that as women, if ever there was a need to evolve and adapt, it is now. Now is the time for our if we have kind of, there's a missed opportunity as as the other half, as some would say, then I think now is the time to reclaim that. So it's time for all of us to think, what is it that we want to make of this opportunity? Yeah, that's my 2 bits on this, Damayanti.
May I add something before we go to Vitika, if you don't mind? I actually agree with you, Rappreet, there. It's just that it is not probably, so to say, a nice thing to say, but a lot of us debate, like I have friends in the High Commission and other places, and we do talk about things like, I mean, since it's we are few people that, it's all great. I could get going working from home and stuff like that, but then I need to be prepared that I'm not going to be sitting on that CEO's chair. I think most of the women should know that if I'm going to be having it my way, I mean, I want to be working at home. And a lot of women, I think it's about a question of choice. If I'm okay with earning, say, 50 grand a month and wanting to be working at home, I should not be grudging the fact that, okay, whether it's advertising, whether it's healthcare or education, there are only men on top.
Absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, you will always be the person, all women as a gender would then always be written about as, okay, Falana has broken the glass ceiling. It will never be the norm.
Absolutely.
And I think somewhere women realize that. So I cannot be asking for favors. And, in fact, some of us have really been vocal about even period leave. I mean, because men in our office came to me and told me, mera bhi bhai migraine hota hai, mujhe bhi sar dard hota hai. What about my leave? Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of offices have sort of worked around that as well. And they've said you could take from your earned leaves or other leaves that you sick leaves, So, yeah, these are some challenges.
Coming back to, sorry to butt in, but I think we are digressing. I think the question was very simple. The question was, what are the challenges that the women professionals, women leaders are going to be facing post the pandemic? And I think it is important to understand this, that the pandemic has been a double-edged sword, especially for women. As women, one primary difference between women professionals and men, and whatever we may say, we don't live in an ideal world. The primary difference is women, even as professionals, continue to fulfill a lot of their biological roles as mothers, as nurturers, as caregivers, which in many cases, whether you like it or you don't like it, men, are able to get away, right? So as this pandemic has been actually, in my view, been a double-edged sword. On one side, for women who have been in full-time roles, where they are able to, get away from their home front and go to a separate place to undertake their professional responsibilities, they are able physically to separate their roles of a nurturer and a professional. That the pandemic has robbed from them. So when pandemic has struck, all of us have been ensconced in our home spaces, which for the woman was a very challenging initially, I think, for many. And, I keep talking to women leaders, women professionals in my role as the president of the National Marketing Council, as well as a strategic business consultant. It has been a challenging part, to actually work from home, where they also are, seen not just as a professional, which they were when they are, out in a physical space, which is a professional space, where they are either a vice president or a president or a marketing head. Here, they are not a marketing head. The child can, come in and say, Mama, mere ko homework mein ye nahi ho raha hai, please can you help me? Or the maid can walk in and say, Didi, aaj bataiye kya lunch mein kya karna hai, So the initial part in pandemic was a very challenging, phase for women who were full-time professionals, because they were very quickly made to pivot to actually separate their home roles and their professional roles. And I think many of us have managed to do that very, very quickly. So in one sense, it has been a role reversal, where you've actually been brought back into the home and been asked to fulfill one more role within the house space. On the other hand, this pandemic, I think, in my view, has offered tremendous opportunities for women who had physical constraints to go to an outside place, who were physically constrained to go and work full-time at an office which is outside their house. Now that the office has come inside the house, there are many, many more women who are able to contribute to this economy, contribute with their roles, contribute with their talent. Because today, it is now an even field where men could take the public transport and go and work, and women could not, or men could, drive out and go and attend offices, and women had constraints. Today, it's a level playing field. The men are at home and working from home, the women are at home, can work from home, and it has opened up huge number of opportunities for women across the country, especially where we are now very, very consciously and very strongly talking about how do we support the gig economy, how do we get more and more women to start contributing to, with their talent. I mean, I'm sure both all the panelists here as well as all the attendees here know of numerous women who are very highly qualified, very talented, have taken the choice to stay back at home and fulfill their roles as homemakers and mothers and daughters,
True.
rather than go and follow a career choice based on their qualifications. So what this has done is actually offered a great opportunity on one side to women to start contributing as per their talent, but on the other side also has been challenging for full-time professionals to find that physical space within the house, create their microcosm where they can be just the professional and not a mother and not a homemaker and not a daughter alone. So I think in my view the challenges are more, I would say, physical, also attitudinal. The women who have pivoted and who have taken quick steps to really reorganize their lives, find a place in the house and make it non-viable, viable. It's not, nobody can, it's like a no entry zone while she's in a meeting. They've been able to manage their work life better. The women who have actually identified these opportunities of what the pandemic can offer in terms of work from home, they have gotten into content writing, they have gotten into media, they've gotten into, like you said, advertising.
Yeah.
More and more women who may have stepped out because of familial constraints have stepped back in. And I know of a number of talented women who are now very active, very sort of giving back to their fraternity very, very strongly. And in my view, this is the new norm. This is the new normal. We will get back to physical offices, definitely, but there is a lot of work that has now
Yeah.
opened up, and a realization that has opened up that a lot of good work can be done from home if it is done efficiently, if it is done professionally, and if it is done with the passion that it deserves. So I think that's really what the pandemic has taught us this time.
So if I have to sum up what our panelists have just said, so one is, of course, all three of you possibly said in different words and different terms that women, a big challenge is the work-life balance, and it's a very thin line how you may ensure that balance and to ensure that you advance in your work as well. The second, that what kind of jobs are going to get created, how are we going to fill in those learning gaps, and of course, which I felt that it is something, it was hidden in the context, that it is how do we change the underlying psyche of the society as a whole, that men are supposed to be doing this and women are supposed to be doing that. We all are saying that we should be doing everything, but how is where we still stand today. So going on to the next question, uh, with experts around the world saying that the world is not going to return to pre-COVID norms, and that's what you guys also said, that it is a new norm, and the pandemic has actually changed the nature of our work. People are moving in from different streams into different streams. They are easy. It's making work flexible as well, and it has accelerated the adoption of technology for business. So, with technology evolving as the foundation to product and marketing strategies across industries, how does the prioritization of the challenges change for women? Does it in any which way?
Sorry, could you repeat your question, please? I could not hear you.
Okay.
Damayanti.
So, with technology evolving as the foundation to product and marketing strategies across industries, does the prioritization of the challenges change for women? I mean, is it going to change in any which ways?
A lot. In fact, technology, see, women in tech, if I were to probably specifically take that question, women in tech and lack of women in tech has always been a sort of a problem. But I think in that sense, continuing from where Vitika left, that the pandemic has been an eye opener. You now have more women entering, in technology via this entire era of digital transformation in other jobs which may not be directly coding. These are non-coding roles, and I think this is where I think women are prioritizing their understanding of how they get back to a workforce and how do they meet the challenges the post-pandemic world could throw at them. And one of the things is that while it is no secret that there are women in tech has been a big issue, the number of women now entering and using technology has begun to slowly rise, and it has risen during the pandemic. I mean, you see a lot of women, again, as Vitika put it, a lot of women are now offering their expertise in non-coding roles in technology. They are also using technology for proper self-assessment and then job research. And a lot of women have been able to tackle the challenge of maybe losing a job or a threat of not being having a job by sort of taking a lot of side projects and building on portfolio. So I think the prioritization in a digital world, I mean, so to speak, I mean, this wouldn't have been possible without technology. This entire webinar or the Zoom meeting would not have been possible. But then if you look at women's understanding of the challenge, I think the biggest challenge I think they have is they can, like I said in one of my quotes, and I would come back to it, reskinning or reskilling. I think technology and digital transformation and digitally driven transformation is helping them there, number one. Also, women have begun to realize that technology is not just coding. There are more women now in SEO, search engine optimization, and other roles, and women are preparing for it. And I think one of the biggest priorities that has to be given by women themselves is to challenge their lack of understanding of the current digital world. And for that, you have a lot of support groups now, and you have a lot of understanding of the fact that technology can be used to self teach yourself to to be self-aware.
So we are
And
saying that
then
it can actually change the prioritization. It can help in reprioritization. And
exactly, that's what is happening all over the world. Women are using, there are more women getting into content roles. You look at Nykaa, most of them are hiring women in different content roles, in SEO roles. These are all very male domains. I mean, सर्च इंजन ऑप्टिमाइजेशन है, बड़ा टेकी वर्क है, औरतें नहीं कर सकती, ऐसा नहीं है. अब आप अगर एक सर्च करें, आपको कितने ऐसे कोर्सेज मिल जाएंगे, and you would be surprised, women are enrolling for these courses. And good part is these are non-coding roles. It's not that you just have to build an app. There are 1,000 other things that go around, and women have been able to do that.
If I may just make a point here, I think more than, I think Garima, what you're talking about is very high order tech play in the professional services.
No, this could be very low tech also. I mean, SEO could be very lay tech as an executive.
So actually, I don't know, I mean, where this is coming from, but, honestly, this was a little surprise for me because being in organizations like Make My Trip, so we have seen the women being tech leaders so much that it has actually inspired. I mean, forget about and we have never thought about the tech is going to be a male dominated job. Rather, our bosses used to say that we are upbringing the future generation, and that is all going to be women. So
we are talking हम 130 बिलियन लोगों की कंट्री हैं, और उसमें अगर हम अपने आप को देखें तो बहुत कम है, तो फिर भी बहुत परसेंटेज बहुत कम है. एब्सोल्यूट नंबर्स में ज्यादा हो सकती है.
हो सकता है, because those were organizations which had started which were already adopting technology long back when people were still struggling with emails. So तब के ज़माने में we used to have a lot of stuff. So now, of course, with the broadening of the space, it is getting better.
I'm going to flip this around, Damayanti, if you'll allow
Yeah,
me.
yeah, please.
Since you
Please go ahead.
brought up the topic of technology, which is a very exciting and a very interesting topic for me. Technology, look at how we have been pushed to a corner in the last 18 months. Okay. In the last 18 months, we, and especially we as women who love to meet, who love to chat, who love to interact, we are unlike many men, and men of course do that too, but unlike many men, I think women are much more social species than the other half, right? And this 18 months we've been told you can't move out, you can't go and meet your friends, you can't go and meet your relatives, you can't meet your sister, you can't meet your mother, you can't meet, what have we done? What has technology done to our lives? I know, and I speak to a lot of consumers who also happen to be, women. How are they reaching out? How are they discovering new products? They're discovering new products through Instagram today, which they were discovering through either friend endorsements or at the retail shop, or somebody telling them that मैंने ये use किया, तुम भी use करके देखो. Where is the first point of discovery? It's tech driven. Where are they buying products from today? They're buying products from e-com largely, primarily. Where are they actually interacting and getting confidence and getting endorsements? They are looking at digital influencers. Now, these are very basic. I mean, even things like I was talking to for a project of mine, talking to some consumers in the age group of 25 young married women who were recently setting up homes, and she said, my mom used to come and teach me how to cook because I've just set up home and I want to learn new things, how to make new dishes. And today, where do I go? I go to YouTube to find the dishes that I want to cook, the traditional things that I want to treat my family to. So technology has, it's overtaken our lives. It has not only overtaken our daily lives, professionally, like I said, how many of us were as comfortable as we are today to do online conferences, even till February 2020. Anytime I had a presentation to make to a client of mine, I was asked to fly out, spend 2 days and make a presentation. And today we are doing everything remotely. We are undertaking lots of very important projects across countries, across geographies, across consumer segments, doing market research digitally. All of the consumer research, all of the consumer product placement tests, everything is happening digitally. It's a physical delivery.
Yeah, so
it's a physical delivery. So the challenge today is, how do you, like Garima just said, how do you reskill yourself to ensure that you are there to take advantage of the opportunities that are presented by technology? Technology is going to overtake you, whether you like it or not. If you are ready for it, if you make yourself ready for it, you will be able to leverage, or you'll be able to reap the fruits of technology.
Yeah.
And that is really what I think most of us, whether professionals or even who are not actively involved in any professional services, have to learn for daily lives. It's going to overtake you anyways.
So I kind of have a little different point of view, working with right in the middle of a technology conversation, because that's what I lead for the group. I think technology has accelerated everything that you and I did, full stop. So today, even if you go to a small town, and 2 weeks ago I was in Dehradun, which by no means is a small town, and it is here to stay. It is here to stay. People have adapted, people have learned. Now the question really becomes, so if earlier the pressure so-called on women were to evolve and adapt, because that's what it's going to take from anybody, whether it is men or women, it's going to be even higher. So when I say you need to adapt to the fact that what will technology do? Technology is going to accelerate the pace of things, full stop. Hence, the pressure on you to deliver on anything is going to be far higher than it was, say, in 2019. The world is never going to go back to that. So we should stop thinking that one day the world is going to be like that. The future of workplaces is hybrid. Somebody like me will end up in office for 2 days and 3 days at home and so on and so forth. The organization will figure out a way on how, when, where, so on, etc. Now, if that's going to happen, you need to start figuring out how to adapt to this. So if last 20 months was an indication, in my opinion, it was just tip of the iceberg. It's an indication of what is coming. When I say evolve, then it really is a function of upskilling yourself. And guess what, my friends? Even that will mean adaptation, right? Why? Because your time is finite, 24 hours. So if somebody else in the workforce is spending X number of time to figure out a course on, like Garima said, on Udemy or Coursera or Google, which have all these free courses, so will you. A lot of organizations now, and in fact we as well, are launching at this point in time, helping women get back to work, especially in the tech sector, because that's the easiest one, right? All you need is a laptop. Sitting wherever you are, you can get back to work. But you will still need to adapt to this entire new ecosystem which is evolving around us. So to me, two fundamental things that as professionals we will need to figure out. I'm not a great fan of men and women boundaries, because I believe if you start thinking of yourself as a professional, you will figure out there is nothing called work-life balance. It's something that somebody has spread us. There is life. Life has a portion called work. Life also needs to have family. Life also needs to have friends, multiple roles. You have good days and bad days. If you treat every day like that, you'll be much better, rather than saying, ab ye compartment work ka hai aur ye compartment family ka hai. Aise hota nahi hai. And more so, like Vitika said, your mom bombing your conferences and your mom-in-law coming in, and I have both, so I know what I'm talking about. So you just deal with it. It's not about, and that is a process of adaptation, not adoption. So you understand there's a fundamental.
In fact, one small point that I always say whenever I'm in any conferences, and even with clients, sometimes a child walks in and they start apologizing, and I say, please don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are intruding in their space. They are not intruding in your space, because today we are working from home and that's their space. We've sort of come in and started working from there. So if they are coming and imposing on your time, it's not they're imposing, we've imposed.
Totally. I also have seen a trajectory, right? I think we were also very rigid when it all started out about some 21 months ago. There is a lot of flexibility. I presented 2 weeks ago to a really senior woman leader, and I'm not going to name her. She was feeding her child as she was consuming my strategic presentation. And that's fundamentally fine as far as I'm concerned. Why not? The meeting happened at 7 p.m. in the evening. Should she be sacrificing on feeding her child? No. Should she apologize to all of us? 100% no. Was she less effective? No. Did any of my male colleagues mind it? No, because they are also doing the same thing. I had a male colleague day before yesterday whose wife had to take on another meeting parallelly. So, and his daughter wanted to do music classes. So we had a lovely refrain of music in the background. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I think some of these boundaries we need to collapse within ourselves. And I, by no means, I agree with Garima. We are a very large country. This is not our sentiment which is enjoyed by everyone. But if we all aspire towards it and start thinking like that, change will come. I've seen a lot of change in the last 25 years. Trust me, when you would just walk into an office and people would look at you, oh my God, why is she working the way she's working? Or like Garima said, ye nahi ho paega. I've heard that a lot in my career. A lot.
Okay? Exactly.
So you just kind of, should you be proving somebody wrong? No. But you must fundamentally understand. You need to adopt, adapt, and evolve. That's about it.
And I think it's also important to understand that, as women, we have a very different work language and we have a very different work style. We don't need to be the men in the office. We need to be the women in the office who bring that diverse thought, who bring that diverse approach to tackling a problem. I mean, that's our creativity. The kind of creativity we can bring to a workspace, the men can't. And they have their own unique strengths. We have our unique strengths. I think as women professionals, we need to be self-aware, identify what our strengths are, and play to our strengths. Don't fight the battle that has been, the rules have been created by somebody else. Create your own rules, create your own battle, fight your battles your way. And that's very important. I think somewhere, in my 25 years, and I was one of the first women in sales when I started out my career. And you can imagine I was like one square peg in a round hole of all different holes. But it was always it was something that I think in my initial years I tried very hard to be like the boys. I tried. I was in sales. I would try and sort of stay back for the drink parties and try and do the kind of networking. And I tried very hard, but I was very fortunate to have a woman leader as a mentor very early in my career. And she said, challenge yourself. Don't let yourself get complacent and start looking for roles which are meant for women. But at the same time, don't try to become the men. You are not. You bring much more and a very different set of benefits and unique strengths to the workplace. So you don't need to become the man to be a better professional. And I think that's really important for all of us to understand.
Yeah, sure. So we have already got a lot of tips on how to rewire, but to just go ahead and specifically talk about how do we rewire, we would invite suggestions from you, and I would want Megha Saxena to take over from here. Megha?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Damayanti. So we all can agree that the world is changing. The definition of normal is changing. And, the way we're doing the marketing is changing. So I'll come back to Garima because you've already, said we need to, in order to survive in the new world, the way the whole post-pandemic adaptations are happening, we have to reskin ourselves. So I'm gonna go back to you and maybe ask you, what do you mean by reskinning?
It was just a play. I mean, I was taking a pot shot at the word reskilling. A lot of men and women keep on telling a lot of women around, "Are reskill karna hai, reskill karna hai." I was also a part of one of this trainings and workshops and some panel discussions where a lot of industry heads, human resources heads have said that, the education system and the kind of skill sets we require, whether it's male or female, men or women, do not match. And we continuously look at how can we reskill. And it's a big, I think it's a big word. So I just thought that maybe the spin is that what they want is you to reskin. Actually, in a world where such seismic shifts are happening, I mean, now post-pandemic, you have to be. I mean, I think this is something which me, Vitika, and Ravpreet, we have all actually sort of discussed, that you cannot be prepared to take on new roles, new challenges, or pivot as once the pandemic becomes the new normal and post-pandemic becomes the new normal, without having to tell yourself that, hey, I need to upgrade. I know, as Ravpreet said, there are only 24 hours, but you know what? I probably need this because this is important. For example, I mean, as a journalist, if I had written on art and culture, I thought, okay, there was a course which was being offered at Indira Gandhi National Center for Arts. I went in for it. It was a cultural informatics course, how to document art and culture. I may never have a project in my company which has to do with documenting art and culture. But at the end of the day, maybe if as a journalist, if I'm writing somewhere or freelancing in a project, I may probably take some bit of benefit from it. And yes, it has been beneficial. When I started doing my marketing, I mean, I was told, why would you do marketing? And, marketing should not be done from a world school or an R.C. Munji school, which is probably, they had this correspondence and a, digital school kind of concept. I said, you know what? I'm working for an advertising company. At that time, I was with Chail India. And I do not have that kind of time, but I definitely feel I need to keep learning. And look at where we are today. We are at a place, where we are working. We've made homes our offices, and everybody is saying, offering IIT Kanpur to IIT Delhi. People are offering you digital marketing courses and marketing courses online, and it's become the new normal. For example, even in Yellow Studio, we do not have a physical workspace. Whatever are our projects, we work from the client spaces. It's been 5 years. When I used to hire people, people used to think, okay, we do not have a workspace. I said, why don't you go and sit out of Facebook's office? That's your workspace, because they really need you there. And if for our workspace, we do know, we have a lot of chai pani ki dukan hai, we will sit over there. It's amazing. I mean, yesterday, when I met my team yesterday, I mean, after a long time, and I said, see, it's gone where we were headed to 5 years ago. We do not need a physical workspace as such. Our if ET was our client, they said, no, you guys have to work from this place. All of them moved there. If Facebook is asking us to do something, we move to Facebook. And if we all have to meet, we made sure that we met 15 days for once in 15 days. So we tackled and we made sure that we charted out a progress path for even if we were 3 people in the company. Am I doing enough courses? What are the courses which are available online for free? I understand that there might be women who may not have money. Even if even 50,000 rupees may be a big sum of money for a lot of women. Let's just be realistic. I mean, they may not have that kind of money, but I now see there are courses which are probably available for free. You look at HubSpot, you look at so many upskilling courses. You have free courses on women who have been into engineering but left midway. So yes, when I meant reskinning, I meant that it has to be a continuous process. It's like I mean, we shed skin cells each year. It's like I have to shed this persona and don a new persona. Maybe if I want to enter a new industry, I should not be afraid to do that. And I continuously build on whatever educational qualification or experiences I have. I may have work experience, but I may not have a degree to back it up. I want to do it, and you got to do it. There is no if and but about it.
Agreed, I think grading is something none of us can escape now. And I totally agree at the terminology that you have introduced. Reskinning is very interesting. And I really hope that we do reskin ourselves for future, and I mean, for good, I would say. So I mean,
as a joke, actually, it was a joke. I mean, I said,
but it looks like
हर बार एक नया चोगा पहनने की जरूरत है. Obviously है, हर बार. I mean, that's the reason I took my net also. I had a mass comm degree. I said, okay, let's take net. And tomorrow but there are no jobs. I mean, in the sense where the moment I took my net, which qualifies me to be a permanent position holder at Delhi University or any university in the country, I may move places. And you might, I mean, if Bombay I go to, they would ask you. In a university, they ask you for a national eligibility test degree. You have a mass comm and journalism net, I would say yes. But where are the jobs? But I just thought that maybe, let's prepare. And I sat for that entrance examination and I cleared it in my second attempt. It was not even my first attempt.
Garima, you don't need to
continue.
Garima, you don't need to look for a job. You can create your own course online.
We'll talk about it.
So I'll ask Ritika. I mean, we're saying that we do need to upgrade. We have to change our environment, and we need to women need to come to work, or essentially sit on their workstations in their homes and think that yes, I'm working in a safer environment, and the people who are around me are understanding me and my family constraints. So I want to ask you, Ritika, how overall a network or an organization can help women achieve this?
So I think, first and foremost, I think we as women are, I mean, now some of us have started getting a little networking savvy, but, we don't network. And it is something that I would really, really urge women to do it. And I have some very, very simple 3 steps on how one can leverage and one can build on networks. First and foremost, and this is something that everybody can do and should do. First and foremost is, identify what you can give back. Don't think about networking as something that will give to you. Think of networking as something where you can give back. So identify what is your strength or what is the reservoir that you bring to the table to give back. If you are a marketing person, or if you like Garima, if you're like a culture analyst or a journalist, how can you give back? Can you give back of what you have learned in the 20 years? If you are someone like Ravpreet, who's a media honcho, who knows, from the back of her hand, what's happening in media, what's happening in consumer behavior, how digital is exploding communications, find those spaces, find those things that you can give back to the networks that you expect to leverage. So that's the first and foremost thing. Second thing is, please identify the right business associations that will help you give back what you have. So, for example, one of the best networking associations is Wiki. So, Wiki as an association brings diverse, segments of women leaders, diverse industry segments together on one platform. There are some 5 lakh women leaders across India and more than 80 countries in the world. So a business set up here, and then you decide which part of that business association is what is relevant to you. So for example, I have been a marketing consultant. I run my marketing firms. I've been a sales and marketing person all my life. And I decided, yeah, this is a great platform for me to give back. And how can I do that? Let me set up a national marketing council. Identify the right business associations to network with, and then take the time out to take the responsibility of an office bearer. Because it's not just enough to be a member of the association. You'll get lost. You need to make yourself visible, and that's completely individual effort. So find what you want to give back. Secondly, find the right business association. And I'm not plugging in here for Wiki. I definitely want to, because this is a Wiki event and we're all many of us are part of Wiki. But find a business association that will help you give back. If it is CII, if it is Flow, if it is India Women Network, whatever it be, find an association that will give you a platform, and then take the effort to become visible. So it will take effort of investment of time and investment of your own expertise, your own, work to make yourself a little more visible. Because just being a member is not going to help. You can be a member, but then start looking at where you can contribute. And the third one is, find that niche that you can contribute to and build on it. So for example, I have a member here, Swati, who is part of she's the president of West Bengal Marketing Council. Now she is a serial entrepreneur. And what has she done? She joined the marketing council. She herself volunteered to lead the West Bengal Marketing Council. And today she's supporting grassroots level entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, through her marketing council. And I think she's doing a fantastic job, not only for those women entrepreneurs, but I think she's built a brand for herself in the last 1 year that I have been interacting with her. So as women, we don't give so much of importance of networking, because हमें लगता है when we are in a full-time job, we should go to the office, finish our work, our merit should speak for itself, and come back home because we have children to take care of, we have dinner to get ready, we have mother-in-laws and father-in-laws and parents and brothers to take care of. Yes, we need to do that, but then we need to start looking at networking in our own way. We need to build our own networks the way that will fulfill our personal ambitions and fulfill it in a different way. We don't need to follow the rules that the men do. We don't need to join the boys club to network after office hours. We can do a different play, and we need to find very simple ways to do it. The 3 that I told you.
Yeah, I think it's all the more imperative right now with seeing so many women, coming back to workforce because of whatever pandemic has thrown to them, loss of family, loss of, so many losses we have seen around us. It's all the more important for us who can do to give back to the society, and would like to really thank you for
add on to what Vitika and Megha just said, that it is actually the network has actually become very, very helpful, not only just to showcase, but earlier you either looked up to your boss as your mentor, or you tried to find out somebody, a woman leader or any male leader as your mentor. With these networks, I think the access to leadership, the access to learn from leadership is open. And it's a great opportunity. If this is not networking, I really don't know what is networking. So I think this is the best part of it.
And it's a great opportunity for all of us at Wiki for the time being, that at least we know, we connect with each other, we understand where are we and all, And so it's really great.
On your time. You don't need to do it after office hours or before office hours. You can do it on your time. And you can do it with the flexibility that platforms like these provide you.
Yeah.
I've already paid heed to what Vitika has said. I have already answered and shot back the mail that I had received. So yeah, and yes, I agree. Mentoring is a very important part, and women supporting women, and you giving back in terms of without any monetary gains. That is the way networks are built, and that's what one has been doing. I mean, either through my work in Jammu and Kashmir with this organization, and even art therapy workshops. In fact, when I went to there's some other marketing council in Delhi, I actually told them, you're doing something on Women's Day, and if you want, we can all come together. I do art therapy workshops. Let's do them for free. Let's have women on this thing. Let's do storytelling for our women who are on the council, for the kids for free. I already work with Oxford Bookstore, and these are all my pro bono collaborations. I was telling Megha about it, that a friend of mine, she's the head of Oxford Bookstore marketing, and she told me, would you like to probably hold an all women panel talk? I said, okay, fine, but the women will be mine, panelists would be mine. So there I have the free hand. I can ask Ravpreet, I can ask Damayanti and Vitika to be a part of it. I said, किताब देनी पड़ेगी, किताब से हमें बहुत प्यार है, 2000 किताबें हमारे घर में, और हर panelist को तू किताब देगी, then I'll come.
Yeah.
So she's like, done deal. So we've been doing that. It's just that, they didn't want to, big companies have costs of, going online. They want certain this thing. I feel it's the niche platforms like these that are more useful, and therein we all can, sort of chip in with our expertise, whether it is even in the education sector. A lot of women are jumping pillar to post, finding the right kind of, what is the course for their children right now who are going to pass out from 12th. This is where one could help in. If you can help your friends and friends of friends, why not at councils like these? When someone like me has been teaching all throughout in Delhi University, in Amity, in other places, why not? And tell them what are the right courses.
Absolutely.
It's a big thing for a lot of women, I guess. Storytelling. I mean, a lot of women want their kids to. Yesterday, my friend called me. "Tu ye kyun nahi shuru karti?" And charge. I said, "Mujhe charge ka wo lagwana padega usko." So you start.
Yeah,
then I'll come. But for me,
there is a lot that we can do. It's just that it's just the beginning. So Ravpreet, why don't you take on?
I'm just going to add to what Garima said. Okay, I think the fundamental thing is these opportunities are all around you. Okay, speak up. Even if it's a small voice, speak up. I think as women, we just don't speak up. And then we get into that whole story, like Vitika said, oh, men can do it because वो तो office के बाद चले जाते हैं, वो Saturday, Sunday भी कर लेते हैं. मत करो ना, कौन कह रहा है? I mean, Damayanti here has known me for the longest. That hasn't been my career path at all. Okay. And I don't think I've done badly for myself. You figure out, like Vitika said, you are you. You figure out what is your individual strength. How would you like to create your career? I always say careers are created. They are not, as long as you stop thinking that this is a job, but think long term and figure out where is it what you do. How would you like to create and shape this entire narrative for yourself? There is a thing, Garima spoke about storytelling. What's your story? What is your story? If you have to tell me your story in 2 lines, what is it? So think about that, right? And if that was the story that you wanted to tell, how would you like to tell that story? Listen, you know what? This is important and that is important. Sure, and everything should be important. Why should as human beings we not want more? I want to be this, and I also want to be that, and I also want to do this. Do it. Go ahead and do it. Just take down that barrier from you. Somebody here put down a question, and I'm going to take that while Garima took on one question, saying that male bosses don't give that flexibility. Why should they? I don't give my male colleagues much flexibility either. Right? Don't think like that. However, what is your boss expecting you to do? Whatever it is, he wants that work to be finished. Finish it for him. I don't think anybody is going to turn around and say, as long as you give him that, I won't even say give, I would say inspire that confidence that, you know what, you will be able to figure it out. He will let you, I promise you.
So Ravpreet, I just want to ask you this, since you brought it up, that, why do you seek flexibility? So do you think overall, after we maybe go back to work or the whole pandemic is hopefully over, do we need any systemic changes overall in the organization? And do we need to help women, regain, you've said so many things about work-life balance. I already, really respect you for that, the way you have said that. it's very important for us to maintain that work-life balance, is the upskilling, everything. I mean, there's so many things that women want to do, but how? Do you think that there are things that we need to do at workplace, and our bosses need to support us with this?
So let me break it down first for yourself, like Vitika broke it down for you guys. Okay, so one fundamental thing is you need to fundamentally understand that pandemic over हो या ना हो, your life 2020 March की जो पहली life थी ना, वो वापस नहीं आने वाली है from a work perspective. Secondly, I think as women, we are very hard on ourselves. मुझे ना perfect मम्मी बनना है, perfect daughter बनना है, perfect daughter-in-law बनना है, हर चीज में perfect होना है. क्यों भाई? मतलब excuse me, but don't do that. So अगर एक दिन
Ravneet, I want to mention this. How many of your spouses, when they miss a PTM, do they curse themselves?
Why are you killing her? Exactly. Why do you have to beat yourself?
If I miss a PTM, I feel so guilty.
अगले 4 दिन के लिए ना वो वितिका के दिमाग में चल रहा होगा यार, I've been a bad mom and my child's development is going to get compromised. Don't do that. Okay, so first and foremost, I mean, please do not be tough on yourself. That's very, very important, which is why I said go back to what is your story, and every day is a conversation of priority. Trust me, it is not about ये मेरा तरीका है काम करने का. Okay, आज के दिन हो सकता है यार, if a child is fallen sick, he hasn't done it deliberately, right? You need to focus on that then. तो अगर एक दिन एक presentation थोड़ा late हो गया, but if the organization sees you do that dance, as I call it, every day, trust me, organizations reciprocate it. That's two, Megha, for your this thing. So as I said, as the world changes, you will have to learn this dance. And please learn it, but don't be tough on yourself. होता क्या है ना, we become so tough on ourselves, फिर हम बोलते हैं हमसे हो ही नहीं रहा. फिर हमारे आसपास का जो immediate social circle होना है, वो भी बोलता है नहीं रफी, तेरे से नहीं होगा, तू भैया you put in your papers as तू छोड़ दे, तू stress मत लेना, तू इसी पे focus कर. मतलब like Vitika said, if one day your spouse is not going to be able to do it, it's okay. एक दिन घर गंदा रह गया है, लॉकडाउन चल रहा है, मेड नहीं आए, कोई आफत नहीं आ जाएगी. Please, okay. So I'm sorry, I'm talking in Hindi, but I've seen that around my, and in the profession I work, we employ a lot of women, right? So one of the focus that, to Garima's point, we realize that women in professions like media, etc., fall off the table in mid-management level when they get married and they have children, right? How do you kind of tell them that it is okay, it is all right, it's fine? Okay.
Someone else should do it, yeah, if they feel the house is that dirty.
Absolutely. और अगर रह भी क्या गरिमा तो मतलब like I said,
no, Ravneet, just to sort of tell you, this is something which I battled a very bad bout of COVID. So much so कि आप सोच लीजिए, this is a personal and a women's forum, and I have no shame in admitting that I was 21 days and 21 nights alone. जहाँ पे मेरे को लोगों ने, I think my neighbors have helped me. There was nobody, not even my husband. He was away. And I do not think it should not be told. I tell it on other forum, every forum. As a Megha knows him very well, but I'm sorry. You could be friends and all. I don't give a flying F, man. But the fact is I was alone. And the only thing it taught me, 21 days, 3 years old, my daughter will turn 3 years old on 29. And I told my mom, ये मुझे भूल तो नहीं गई होगी. ये मुझे भूल तो नहीं जाएगी. Because I am a new mother. I married at the age of 34. I turned 40 this year. And that's the only thing I felt while I was battling. Maybe, I could have died. And I feel anybody who is not landed up in a hospital has just managed to scrape through and come back. It's been that bad. But I realized that thing made me, when she came, it was that natural. She didn't want to go anywhere else. So, that thing made me feel that, hey, it's okay. If you've been traveling, January, February, March, I was traveling all throughout Jammu, and 21 days of being away from her. And yet I just felt that, no, man, it's fine. So today when she frets, I don't want to have food, I said, fine, don't have it. When you feel I'm hungry, come back. Earlier I used to fret, khana nahi kha rahi, ye nahi hai. And I don't do that. I've stopped doing that.
So I have, just to, take forward what you're saying, Garima. A child is a product of two entities. A child needs a mother and a father. Yes, every relationship has dynamics, and no, I don't want to get into that. But I'm just saying, look at your husband. He's not killing himself because child ne khana nahi khaya. Exactly. आप क्यों टेंशन ले रहे हो? मत लो उतना स्ट्रेस आपको होता है.
Exactly.
There's one more thing that I want to mention, and this is something I'm completely talking from experience. I think one other thing, and this is very tactful in my personal case, I have been very, very tactful. I think you need to, if you need to be a successful woman, entrepreneur, professional, leader, whatever, create an ecosystem of support.
Yeah.
So get co-op. Yeah, don't feel embarrassed about asking for help from your mom, from your mom-in-law, from your resident father-in-law, from your whoever. I mean, I'm saying.
पर कैसे करोगे ना वितिका, वो नहीं होगा ना, क्योंकि आपको तो you have to become this perfect.
मैं ये कह रही हूँ कि if you don't, for me, I started when I had my first child. I thought I would have a nanny and I will go to office and all, and I realized in my heart मैं अपने बच्चे को उसके हाथ में ही नहीं दे पा रही थी कि वो पता नहीं whether she cleans her hands, whether she will clean my baby, the first time when I was a mom. And then I realized the only other person I trust is my mother and my mother-in-law. And it took me a lot of months to get used to the fact that my child will still remain my child even if she's brought up by my mother or my mother. But I was really blessed to have two mothers taking care of my two children while I was building my career. वो अलग बात है, मैं आजकल मजाक में ये कहती हूँ that my children have been brought up by my mom and my mom-in-law, so if they turn out great, they are still my daughters, and if they don't, then they are to blame. But the fact is that I was able to reach where I was able to reach, or where I am today. It's largely because of the support system that I had at home, which I think like shamefully took advantage of. And
But
Then,
let us
yeah,
see.
it's a support
Let
system
us
and you
see.
hired it. Somebody asked me, "आप काम कैसे करती है?" मैंने कहा, "भाई, I have a house help.
Exactly.
I do have
And
house help.
so,
I
let us
have people to cook for me, man."
absolutely. And why should there be any shame
Sorry.
about it? I agree with Garima. So Vitika got lucky. She had her mom-in-law and she had a mom. Okay.
my mom used to actually do like a handover takeover. So she used to come in the morning.
Great. So if you have that, leverage that. But I'm also, in the same breath saying what Garima just said. नहीं है. और secondly, माँ बाप क्यों आपके बच्चे संभालें भाई? Let us just, okay, so like my mother, very clear. She said, oh, I've done my job of child rearing, dude. You guys want to have children. You figure out how you're going to do it, right?
Exactly.
I'm with her. And therefore I'm with Garima. Hire a support system.
Exactly.
और
Get a support. Get a support.
कुछ चीज कम रह गया तो कोई nothing is going to fall. And don't start then. First thing what women do is, agar, let us say I've missed a PTM, okay, let us say the child has not had the food that you wanted to cook. First thing you will look at is my job, which is a problem. That's another challenge that I find with women professionals. Why is it only your job?
And why it's just you?
Why is just you, right? So
Just
ask yourself these questions, because like I said, if it's a career that you're looking for, okay, there are very fundamental differences. It's a job, like Garima said, sure, full respect, no judgments here. Please figure out, it's your personal choice. But if it's a career you want to create, careers are long-term, careers are built, they are curated. Okay, since Garima mentioned books.
And also one more thing, if you do make a choice to take a break in your career because you want to take care of your children,
It's all right.
don't feel that it's the end of your career.
No,
it's
no.
2 years in a career of 40 or 30 years.
Yeah.
So, and don't beat yourself down about it ki bhai mera to I took a sabbatical, that's why I'm not able to progress. No, it's not
Yeah,
excuse.
I agree. And often this fact leads to sort of makes it obscure the other fact that there are certain learning gaps which we need to fill. So that sort of becomes oblivious. Yeah. Yes, Rupi, sorry, you continue.
No. That's about it. So I think fundamentally, just to kind of recap the question that Megha asked me, right? So ask yourself, what is it that you would like to, where would you like to see yourself? Okay. And there are, like Vitika said, there are no wrong or right answers. It's what works for you.
Absolutely.
That's one. Two is, please don't be hard on yourself. Women are more hard on themselves than men are, fundamentally. और ये इंडिया में ज़्यादा accentuated है. किसी ने बोला नहीं है कि fresh.
Hardwired to be hard on oneself.
Exactly. Hardwired to be hard on yourself. कहीं लिखा नहीं है that you have to cook 3 fresh meals. No. Doesn't work like that. It's right. If you can, more power to you. celebrate, और उसको भी कुछ celebrate करने की जरूरत नहीं है, right? It's what you like to do that day, right? Just be in that space. Third thing, it is a world, if it's career that you're looking for, I think Garima's said some beautiful things, right? At every stage in your career, you need to look around and see what is it that the environment now needs. So if I have to take an entrance exam and if I have to work towards it, so be it. If there is a course that I need, then so be it. If there is another curve you want to give to your career, and पहले मैं ये करती थी, अब मैं ये कर रही हूँ, so be it. You want to take a break and oh my God, now, and then again, you're being hard on yourself and the child and the family. I've taken a break, dekho, I have done this sacrifice. No, nobody is doing any sacrifices here, right? It's a choice that you're making at that point in time, and that's correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
You can always come back. There are enough and more forums, but yes, then don't say, oh, but you know what, Ravpreet and I started together and look where she is and look where I am. But you know what, she didn't take a break. So she was so those differences. So I'm just, again, coming back, don't be hard on yourself, be realistic. Your story, my story is different. Our contexts are different. We thrive when our synergy is most with the context that you and I are in. Right? So Vitika has a separate story, Garima has a separate story, I have a separate story. Learn to identify that, you know what, this is my context. In my context, this is the most appropriate. Of course, you can continue to be inspired by enough and more beautiful leaders around us, aspire to do big things. But if a small thing also in that context, to me, every story needs to be celebrated, right? Just because somebody has a big fancy designation, frankly, it's fine. That's the journey she took. And that needs to be celebrated. You decided to be an amazing, saying, I want to be stay-at-home mom and, fundamentally next 10 years to do this. Sure, by all means. I know of enough women, very driven women professionals who at certain time decided that, no, the next 6 years, I'm going to just do this. Then again, within that, there are various stories. They've continued to be part of these forums so that what in their head, they were not losing touch. They were not losing connections, because connections is super, super important. So,
Definitely.
That's really, really, for me, the fundamental thing is that understand what is it that you want. Don't try and be someone else, whether it's a man, another woman, Ravpreet, Vitika, Garima. What works for you is what you need to, because if you have that and you figured that out, trust me, you'll thrive. It doesn't matter. You will thrive. Because you are fundamentally happy, right? And if you're happy, it will show in everything, whether you're a mom, you're a daughter, you're a boss, you're a entrepreneur, you're a professional, you're whatever you're doing, it will. But if you're going to be so stressed about it, then that's where, you start messing with everything around you.
I think the last one thing that I want to my concluding remark for the session today is, I think it's very important to understand that you are the only you. Okay. And as a person who's unique to your own self and unique to this world, you need to build your story, is what Ravpreet has been saying. That create a narrative. Every 2 years, write down what you want to be in the next 5 years and review it. I think, and the best part is, they are not black and white holes that need to be fitted into some boxes. These boxes can change shape, these boxes can change size, and they will as our life progresses. And we have to be open to that. We have to be open to creating our unique self and building on it year after year. That's what is the most important. Be yourself, be you, and be confident of what you can achieve. Not in comparison to what others are achieving, but in comparison to what's your best potential.
Yeah. So I would just like to conclude the session with a few lines and a thank you note to all of you. When they come together, they lift me without a titch, without a touch. They fill me with me. In a moment together, from far away, lies my weakness in all shades of happiness and grey. My circle of inspiration, that's where I should be. That's what I want to be. A speck of dust I am. Oh, it is here that I belong. So it is all about, I just sort of I was like Googling, and when you guys were speaking, that, it boils down to me, how I do things, and how I, as an individual, make certain choices, take certain decisions, how I choose to do the chores today and I choose not to do it tomorrow, or how I choose to pick up a course today and I want to. So there are many a times, there are people who pick up courses and they drop in between because they, after a certain point of time, they feel, okay, oh, this is not relevant. It is going to be relevant only when we finish it off and when we have a goal in mind. And as all of you were saying, that, celebration of goals is very important. The little things make a fantastic memoir for all of us. And I think this particular memory of having you three together, listening to all of you, was fantastic. Thank you so much for coming onto the panel. And I would also like to thank all the audience, lovely audience, for this attendance. Thank you so much.
Just
Look
want
forward
to
to
add
see you again.
Just want to add to what Damayanti you just said. Thank you from my side as well. I mean, hearing so many of you, and so you are so senior in your positions. You have so much experience and so much of life you have seen, and still thinking and hearing the same struggles that we are having gives a lot of comfort. And the approaches that you have told us is amazing, and I really hope that women are being benefited by whatever you said. I'm really in awe of Rafpreet right now, saying that I'm absolutely fine if somebody's feeding a child, because we really fret, and it's really it's really, I would really like to thank you for putting this up in this forum and saying that this is fine, this is life, you have to deal with it. So yes, thank you once again, Garima. Thank you, Vitika, and thank you.